All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think we are going to go ahead and get started with today's session. My name is Derek Lalone here on the Model Schools team, and I just have a few announcements before I turn it over to Brittany Gaffney to talk about Google Classroom from the student view, and that is just to announce what we have for webinars for the rest of the week. So tomorrow we have the Google Classroom mobile app. So we'll be talking about the student view today, but we'll be talking about the mobile view with Allison Blackwell tomorrow. And then Friday, we're going to be doing a review of Google Sheets and the basic ideas for implementation across the curriculum with Lori Yeager. As always, towards the end of the week, be on the lookout if you go to moric.org/PD for our new offerings for next week. And with that, as always, say hi in the chat so we'll be sure to get you for attendance. And with that, I am going to turn it over to Brittany Gaffney here on the Model Schools team.
Hi, everybody. So I'm Brittany Gaffney. Thanks for joining me today. We are going to be talking through the student view of Google Classroom. And I know since Google Classroom doesn't have that, nice switch between teacher view and student view, it's sometimes tricky to know what they're seeing, right? So I've assigned some assignments for a student, and we're going to kind of live in their view for a little bit so you can kind of get a glimpse into their side of things. So thanks for joining me this afternoon. I hope the sun is shining where you are for a little bit, and let's get started. So we're in the student view right now, and you can see it looks probably very similar to yours in this side of things. The Meet link is provided at the top. We did a training on that last week about the new integration. So they see this Meet link just like you do if it is turned on right in that classroom banner. And something I really like about the student view is this little box right here. So this box will have any upcoming work. So this will only really show up if you've assigned due dates to your assignments. And due dates can be tricky, especially in this time frame, because they may not be hard due dates, but they do kind of keep the kids organized in the sense that it'll show up in the box, an activity that's due and when it's due. And the students can actually, this is a clickable link, so they can view it right here, kind of like an agenda, and click that right here and get right to that assignment that's due within the week. And then you can see right through here that the stream. So on the student end, they can see things that are assigned to them and things that are missing if it's maybe past the due date. So something will show up missing on the student end if they have not handed it in and if there is a due date assigned. So that'll show up red for them in the stream. Also in the stream, if they've turned something in, this will be there, this turned in option. And in the settings on the teacher side, I have it turned on so students can post and comment. So for this particular student, they're able to share something with the class and post something, and they can also add a class comment to an assignment here. Now, I'm going to go back over to this little assignment box. If you do have something assigned to them, the students can click View All. And this screen, you can find it in a few different places, or I should say the students can find it in a few different places. But this is the first place. So I love this screen for a few different reasons. The first is that the students see all of their work that has been assigned, missing, turned in. There's even some graded work here. So they can see that all right here. And they can also filter. So on the side, they can just choose what is assigned to them. So assigned work and missing work, again, if there's that due date attached, it will show up for them. So they can filter what they have not, done yet, which is helpful, as an organizational tool for them. They can also filter to returned with grade. So you'll notice here two really important pieces. Notice some of them, one of them has a check mark, and the rest have grades attached. The reason there is a check mark here is because as the teacher, we assigned this as an ungraded assignment. So there is no grade attached, but the student turned it in and the teacher returned it to that student. So it shows up as a check mark here for them in this view. So they can see that it's done. There may not be a grade because the teacher did it as an ungraded assignment, but they can still kind of see that it's done. And then again, under missing, if there's any due dates attached to assignments for them, they can see what's actually missing and past due. So I'm going to go ahead and click the back button here and kind of get us back to the home screen. So I got to that by clicking the view all of upcoming work. Now we also usually tell students to head to classwork because the classwork tab across the top will look really identical to the teacher view, which is super helpful, for planning purposes. So they'll see the topics just like you do, and along the side as well. But you'll notice they have this piece called View Your Work. Notice it looks the same as that past screen where it said View All, right? And they're kind of like a little agenda box there. I would highly suggest having students and directing students to that link, View Your Work. Because again, it takes them to that same screen where it's all organized. They can see what they need to do. It is not organized by topic, unfortunately, but at least it's kind of this one-stop shop for all of their assignments and what they need to do. So I'm just going to go back one more time. Okay. They can join their Google Meet from this tab as well right here. They can view their calendar or go to their class drive folder. And really, the class drive folder, they probably won't need to look at. It will just take them to their own Google Drive, where any assignments that have been assigned to them, they can, look at there. But really, I kind of, when I was teaching, I would kind of tell them to kind of ignore that, as all of their work is saved right here, nice and neat and organized. Now we're going to spend our majority of time here. So I'm just going to head over to the People tab for a second, and we're going to come back to classwork. So the People tab, they will be able to see their teachers, and they will be able to email their teacher directly. So if the student email function is turned on in the admin console for your district, they will be able to click this email icon and go right ahead and email you directly. And this will show up in your district's email. So there's no, special place to go in Classroom for your email. It just shows up in your district, Gmail or email account. And the same goes for emailing classmates. If that email function is turned on in the admin console, they will have these options here to email. And that's really all they see. They can see their classmates' names listed here and then the teachers. So you'll probably notice one of the biggest differences is in the People tab between the teacher view and the student view. I like to think of the View Your Workplace as kind of, they don't have this grades option, right? Like you would in the teacher view. So this View Your Work is kind of like their grade book, right? They can see their work there. All right, so I'm going to kind of start showing you some different assignments. I tried to assign a variety, so you can kind of see a variety of assignments in the student's view. So I'm going to start with just this reading comprehension. And by clicking this, it expands for the students. So they can see the attachment if you left them one, and they can see that it's assigned to them, so it's not necessarily missing. And if it had a due date, that would be there. Now, the view assignment page is kind of pivotal. So I'm going to come back to that in a second. They can also access this assignment in the stream. So if they go ahead and just click on that assignment right from the stream, it will bring them to that view assignment page. So I'm going to just hit the back button so that way you can kind of see the different ways that they can get to the same screen. So they can find the assignment that they want to work on in the stream. And remember, that's, posted in chronological order, so time-stamped. Or they could go to classwork and find that same assignment and click view assignment. And it will take them to that same place. And you'll notice here, I have a Google Doc attached for the students to complete, and they have some options. They can add or create something too. This option is always here for students no matter what. And I know Allison's going to talk about the mobile view tomorrow. And this add or create will be on the mobile view as well. And they can even add a picture straight from their mobile device by clicking this. So the mobile option kind of gives you a few different choices than here, but they'll have majority of the same choices if you wanted them to add something for their drive, a link, a file, or create a new Google Doc or slide, sheet, or drawing right on the fly for you. So it really depends on what kind of directions you're giving the students, but this add or create will always be an option for them no matter what. But in this case, there's a Google Doc attached. So as the student, I'm going to click on it. And I can see my teacher wanted me to type in these boxes. Okay. And that would be what a Google Doc kind of assignment could look like, really. But what I want really to show you mainly on this screen is that when you attach a Google Doc for a student, they see this turned in button. It's gray. Let's see if I can get my Zoom to work. In the top right-hand corner next to the blue share. Now, this is a disclaimer. This turn in button, where you see it now inside the Google Doc, really only shows up when you assign Google Docs. If you assign a slide or anything else, they have to go back to their Google Classroom tab to click Turn In. So I think that has been a little bit, tricky for students to get to know, especially during this virtual learning time, that if you assign a Google Doc, they can click Turn In right here and they're all set. So Google Docs make it really kind of simple for students. But either way, notice it when I opened that attachment as the student, it opened up a new tab for me on my web browser. So if students are working on, any kind of laptop or desktop using the Google Chrome browser, it opens up in a new tab for them. And with Google, all changes save automatically. So even if I were to get rid of this tab and go back to my attachment, any changes I made are still there. So that's important for students to know, especially if you give them something where they don't see this turn in button. Any changes that they make, they can always go back to their Google Classroom tab. The changes will be made and they can just click turn in right here. And I'll show you that in my other examples that I have. But that is kind of working with some teachers in some districts that I'm in. That has been one of the biggest hangups for students is if you assign them anything other than a Google Doc, they don't know that they have to go back to this page and click turn in. So I just kind of want to make that clear now, and you'll see that example later on too. So let's pretend I'm done. I'm going to go ahead and click turn in here. And you'll see it kind of opens up another tab for me and says, this is the attachment. Do you want to turn it in? Yes, I do. So once something has been turned in by the student, if they were to go back to the work, so if they were to click it here or if it was still open in a tab, I want you to notice that, see how it's asking now the student to request edit access of their own document? That's because it has been turned into you. So they no longer have the ability to make any more edits because it's been turned in, right? So until you then return it to the student, they won't be able to make any changes to their document. So that's just important to know. So they can still view it and see what they did, but they just can't change anything. Now, they do the option to unsubmit their work. So if for some reason they did make a mistake, or maybe you left them a private comment, which would show up right here for them that you left one, they can unsubmit their work, make any changes, and resubmit to you. So know that that's always an option as well. And I'm going to switch over to my teacher view for just a second because I want to show you what that looks like. So teacher view, I see that one student has turned in my assignment. And I can go ahead and leave a private comment and just say, great work. Thank you. I can post my private comment and return it to the student. Now, they can also see private comments before you hit return. So see how it just actually refreshed automatically for me there as the test student? I, as the teacher, didn't hit return yet, but they can see this comment. And private comments will also send an email notification to students if they have the email functionality turned on in the admin console. So I'm going to go ahead and hit return as the teacher, so that way you can see now what it looks like on the student end. So I'm going to refresh. Oops. So now I can see my private comment from my teacher, and now I see that my assignment has been returned to me. Now, this is also a big disconnect with students sometimes, is they see that, okay, it's been returned, but it's asking me to resubmit. So that's why it's really important that view your work that I showed you in the beginning, that the students know that unless you tell them in a private comment, please make these changes and resubmit, that they really don't need to click that. Because you'll see if we go back to viewing my work, I see that reading comp is done. There's a check mark there. So it is done. So unless my teacher left me a private comment, which I can see from this view as well by clicking on the comment or the attachment. So unless my teacher said, great work, but please fix, X, Y, and Z and resubmit, I don't have to click this resubmit button. But know that students will see that either way. So those are two of, I don't know if misconception is the exactly right word, but kind of the two main disconnects for students, that they don't know to come back here and click turn in. And then they also get confused when they see this resubmit here. They think that they have to, because there is no way to kind of make that go away. So hopefully you seeing that as a teacher on the student end will kind of help you troubleshoot students if you're seeing this happening with them. Okay. So I'm going to go back. Oops.
Hey, Brittany, we just had a question come up from Kim.
Yeah.
It says, once students have turned in something and you ask them to fix it, how can you change it in the system to not submitted?
Yeah. So once they have turned in and you ask them to fix something, how can you change it to not submitted? So, so you'll want to return it to them. So either way, if they officially turned something into you, you'll have to return it to them with a private comment that says, to fix that. I'm trying to get it so I can see the chat questions too at the same time. Does that help? Does that answer your question? Yeah, you'll have to, because it doesn't allow them to make changes until you return it to them. So they'll always have the option to resubmit, but you'll kind of need to tell them whether they need to do that or not. Okay. So I'm going to go back to my student view again, and I want to show you the difference between turning it in and marking as done. So because I attached a Google Doc to this assignment, you notice that the student saw a turn it in option because there was an attachment that they needed to actually type and do something in. But if you create an assignment and attach just a video or a link, so again, not a material, if you create an assignment with a video or a link, they will see this option to mark as done. So that's a big difference too. So this is nice if you want the students to kind of prove or show that they've, read something or watched a video that you gave to them. They can click mark as done. Now, we also have to think about, I haven't watched the video yet as a test student, right? But I do have this option to mark as done. So just know that, Google doesn't know if they actually opened this up necessarily and watched it. But they'll notice this mark as done. So it doesn't say turn in. There is that difference in wording there. And they will see mark as done is if, as a teacher, you create an assignment instead of creating a material, right? You want to create an assignment. And if you attach a video or a link, this will give them the option to mark as done. So kind of helpful for keeping track. And again, we have to trust that the students have actually watched it, but it's helpful when you make assignments because they have this accountability piece there. And notice, there's still that add or create, the class comments and the private comments remain the same. So if I mark as done, it's going to notify the student that I haven't, attached any work. So the teacher will just see that you've marked it as done. Yep, that's fine, because there was no work really to attach. But it does notify the student, hey, you haven't attached anything. Are you sure you want to mark as done? And in this case, since it was just a video, they can click mark as done. And if I had left any instructions for students, they would show up right underneath this, watch and read, right underneath your topic, your assignment title. It would show up right underneath there. And you'll see they do have the chance to unsubmit. It's turned in late as well. And again, if I go back to classwork and view your work, that watch and read, it says that it's been turned in, but it is done late. Now I want to show you one last example of a Google slide assigned to students. And the only reason I want to really show you this is because you'll notice as a student, when I click on this to do this interactive activity in a Google slide, there is no turn it in option up here. So this is what I was talking about earlier. The only Google product that has that turn in piece right there is a Google Doc. So you're going to want to make sure that you click and tell the students that they have to go back to their Google Classroom tab, or if they're working in the mobile device, Allison will show you this tomorrow, they'll have to kind of swipe up out of that Google Slide app that they're working in and always go back to the Google Classroom app or tab and that view assignment piece until they see turn in. And, just like normal, I'm able to, show my work and all changes will be saved I'm just kind of dragging and dropping here. They might not be the right answers, but so notice if I get rid of this by accident, it all will save the work that I've done as a student. And remember, there's not that turn in piece. So the students do have to go back here and click turn in. And all of these options are the same once again, and they'll click turn in. Now, another piece on the teacher end that I just kind of want to show you quickly. When you're giving feedback to students within a document, so I'm going to use the Google slide as a example. So if I go to turned it in, remember I said that they could see your private comments before you return it to them. So, you know, please fix and resubmit by Friday. So again, they can't resubmit until you do officially return it to them. But I want you to see something. If I make a comment to a student internally, like within the document itself, and I'll show you what that looks like. So if I write a comment and say, you know, incorrect, please fix, and comment, the students will not see this comment, this specific one inside the document. See, they don't see that comment. They won't see that until you return it to them. So they see private comments regardless. As long as you hit that post, they'll see it. But they will not see this comment until you return it to them. And another thing I like to tell people is you can always tag a student by clicking the @ and then test or typing in their name and say, you know, incorrect, please fix. Because the nice part about tagging the student here by using the @ symbol is that it will kick out an email to them if the email functionality is turned on. So they can possibly see this comment or at least know that you left one inside the document if you tag them. So I'm going to go ahead and return to the student. And you'll notice that once I hit return, I'm going to refresh on the student end. And they'll be able to see the comments that their teacher has left them here. And now, once I've returned it to them, they will be able to make any changes and then resubmit. So just kind of to wrap up some things that we talked about. One, telling the students to really focus on this view your work piece, which they can find in classwork at the top. It'll be in the same location, this view your work. So this is really important for them to check in with. I think it'll help keep them organized. And then also the difference between that turn in piece inside the Google Doc versus if you assign anything else, they always have to go back to their Google Classroom assignment to hit turn in if it's anything else. And we do have one more minute left. I want to show you a Google form really quick on the student end because that actually looks really different on both the student and teacher end. So I assigned a quiz to a student. And I'm going to type in, you know, I'm going to take it really fast. Hopefully not like students. I'm going to submit. So look what it says to students when they're done taking a Google form. It says the response has been submitted and the assignment is marked as done. So it automatically, when you assign a Google form, it automatically turns in that to you, right? The Google form itself. And it also automatically marks it as done for the student. So they don't have to go back and click turn in. See how it automatically says that it's turned in here? Or if they click view assignment, it says turned in. Now on the teacher end, if you want to view responses, it looks a little bit different. So normally, I want you to kind of see the difference here. Normally, see how I can see my attachments here in like a Google slide and things like that? If I open up a Google form on the teacher end, I don't see an attachment here, but that doesn't mean they haven't done it. In order to see their response, I have to click inside the Google form that I attached. And it's still going to make it seem like, wait, I don't want to take the quiz. I want to see the student response. So this pencil in the bottom right-hand corner will take you to the edit portion of the Google form. And obviously the students won't see this, the edit part, right? And then across the top is where your responses will be. And if you had, depending on your settings in a Google form, you may have to release the score to students, or it may automatically, it kind of depends on the setting that you chose. But I just want you to see the difference with a Google form as far as the student end, that it does turn it in automatically. And then the responses are recorded for you when you go to actually click on the Google form itself. There will not show an attachment here. So I hope that this was helpful to be able to kind of see the student end and have some tips and tricks to pass along to students as they're working through, so that way you're able to kind of better troubleshoot and understand some of the things that they are seeing. And I know we're over, but oh my goodness, there's so many tips and tricks. One last super fast thing, because I think it's kind of important. Students can, any attachment, they can delete it. Watch what happens if I click the X button. They can technically delete it, but it tells them, hey, you've removed this file that your teacher gave to you, and they can click make a copy. You as the teacher cannot do this for them, but the kids will get this and they can make a copy, and it will kind of bring it back to life. So sometimes students just accidentally hit that X. It's really easy to do, right? It's right next to clicking on the attachment. But just know that if they did delete it by accident, they do have that option to make a copy and kind of bring it back to life. So many good things to share. But please let me know if you have any other questions. I'm trying to pull up the chat on my end. So Derek, let me know if I'm missing anything. It won't let me see the chat.
Yeah, I just wanted to come in quick. The chat today has been incredibly active. So Chris and I were trying our best to catch up with all of them as they were coming through.
Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't able to
missed your question. If we missed your questions, please feel free to retype them in the chat, and we can jump on them right now. I think we did an okay job keeping up with everything. But if we're missing anything, or if there's a question that you really want to know that we didn't really address, please pop them in the chat now, and we'll do our best to answer anything.
Okay, let's see. Oh, okay. I'm able to access the chat this way. It won't show up on my phone. So let me see if I can.
I'll highlight some on the screen and I'll read them off so you can answer them.
Okay,
So
perfect.
the first one is from Sherry. Could you show again how to make personal comments when in a slide?
Yeah, sure. So I, as a teacher, am obsessed with being able to make personal comments inside the slide, because there's a lot of fun things you can do. So you can do personal comments inside a Google Doc as well. So just know that you have that option. So inside a Google slide, I just kind of have a bunch of different templates, but let's say the student typed this, incorrectly. If you highlight over where anything really in the document, you can click, the table itself, you can highlight over a word. And if you right click and find the comment option, the little box will pop up. So in a Google slide, you could, really click on anything. And once you hit that right click option, the comment box will pop up. And I always like to tag a student. So I did that by clicking the @ and then typing in the student's name, because it will actually tag them to do something. And you can also assign it to them. So they'll kind of be forced to resolve it and do something with it. Or you can just tag them normal and type a comment, and that option is nice because it'll kick an email to them. So that way they don't miss the comment. So yep, just highlighting.
So the next one is from Stephanie. She's asking, is there somewhere I can go as a teacher to see if I have private messages that have been sent, like a notification or message section, so that we don't have to check each individual student assignment?
So unfortunately not. There isn't a one-stop shop for teachers, but if it's a particular assignment, if you kind of click, let me try and find an example. Which one did I leave a private comment on? I think it was this last one. Yep. So if you find an assignment, notice here you can see comments that you've left here. So if a student does leave you a private comment, it will show up, very similarly in this screen. So unfortunately, there's not a one-stop shop for all of the comments that students have left you on any assignment, but in each assignment, you can quickly kind of see who has left you a comment there. And if students are leaving you comments, you might want to even share that tagging, that @ with them too, because they can tag you in a comment to make sure that you're getting an email notification. As a teacher, you can go to grades, but this won't really show any comments. It's just kind of all in one place.
So the next question's from Susan. She's asking, at times it says no attachment when I look at the student's work. Does that mean they deleted it on their end?
Good question. Good question, Susan. So there are a variety of reasons why this might happen. So I'll go through them and I'll show you a way that you can fix it. Kind of, hopefully. So the first reason could be that they deleted it. The second reason, what I've noticed is just Google has been a little bit glitchy as far as assignments going through to certain students. So it really just kind of depends on what happens. You can't tell the difference if a student has deleted it versus it just didn't get to them for whatever reason. But all in all, I'll show you a way that you can fix it. So let's pretend that in any assignment that I give, right, I notice that there are some students missing the attachment. So when I go to classwork and I can edit the assignment, right, as the teacher. So the set assignment that didn't get to the students, you're going to click where it says all students and uncheck only the students who do not have the attachment. Uncheck them from the assignment. Then you can hit save. So now they officially don't have it, and you'll go back into the assignment, edit again, go back up to where it says students, and then recheck those individual students and hit save. Now, the other reason that attachments might not show is because they may have not even opened the document yet itself. So that's another reason. So sometimes refreshing your own page as a teacher, so when you're sitting here, looking to see if there's attachments, right? If you refresh, those attachments sometimes will show up. But in this case, I know, because I have control over these two accounts, they haven't even opened the attachment. Only my test student has logged on and is active in the class. So I know that that's not the best answer because there are so many variables of why this could be happening, but a way that you at least kind of have control over that situation is to kind of use that trick that I just showed to check and uncheck and save. And those attachments will start to pop up. My other advice is that if you continue to see this with the same select students, sometimes just reaching out to them and seeing what's happening on their end might also help you to further troubleshoot as well, if you're seeing the repetitiveness.
Next question was from Kimberly, and she's asking, how do you assign one of the comments again?
Assign one of the comments again. Like a private comment in here?
I believe so, yep.
Oh, okay, like that. Okay, so if you highlight, or just once you're in the comment box, you're going to type the @ symbol, and you're going to type in the name of the student. And once you see like their email show up, it'll be there. And then you can type your comment and then, you know, click comment. It tells you right here, let me zoom in. Oopsies. Oh no, did I just, okay. Zooming in on Google Slides is tricky. All right, let's do this. So it tells you you can assign it to the student, and once you check it, it says the assigned person will be notified and responsible for marking as done. So the comment itself. So they'll have to, you know, click mark it as done if you check this box. If you don't, it will still trigger that email, but it won't make them mark it as done. So it depends on what kind of comment you're leaving. For instance, if you want them to, you know, correct their sentence, like their grammar is bad or they're missing a period or something like that, you might want to actually assign it so they have to go in and actually fix it. So it kind of depends on what comment you're giving, whether you want to check or uncheck this box. But know that either way, the student's going to get notified.
I believe that's all the questions that we had, but if anybody wants to hang out a minute and enter another one, feel free to do that. But otherwise, we hope to see you for tomorrow's session.
Yeah, I'm going to go on my screen and just look too. Just so I can see the comments. I like to kind of know what's happening. Yeah, I see Carlene's comment there about, like I said, there are so many variables. I've been dealing with that all week as well. I don't know if it's specific to this week. I've had some instances before this as well that it's been happening. So that's the way that I know how to fix it on the teacher end. And hopefully, if it truly is a glitch, it gets worked out. But sometimes the students can delete it, and that is a reason why it, you know, that could happen too. Yeah, Diane, your tech coordinator should be able to, oh, yep, Chris already answered, should be able to tell you. Yep, you're welcome.
One more thing I'll add too is I'm going to put up our email addresses up here. I know some folks were asking if they had any further questions, if they could reach out.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to go ahead and pop all three of our email addresses up here on the screen. So if you guys have any more questions, you know, please feel free to reach out to any one of us, and we'd be happy to help.
Yeah. And Derek actually did, I know some of the things I was showing about comments and things like that. Did Heather Schaefer already do that webinar on the comments, or did that not happen yet?
I believe that's next week.
Next week. Okay.
She's done one student feedback. I believe she's doing another one next week.
Oh, okay, perfect. Yeah, because the feedback one will be really good if you're looking for specifics on how to kind of leave those comments and things for the kids. So I just kind of wanted to let them know that that will be a good one. Oh, that's cool. I'm reading back through the comments. I didn't realize the plus worked too. See, now we've got so many different options.
And Diane, to answer your question, I do know that MOBOSI's does not have email turned on for students. It's always an evolving and ongoing conversation, but at the moment, students don't have the ability to email teachers back and forth using Gmail.
We, when I was teaching at Helen Patton for this, we did not have the email feature turned on either. So I would always remind students, I would have to remind them to go in and look for my comments. So if your school doesn't have this feature turned on for email, something that I found helpful is making like a quick announcement in your Google Classroom, maybe once or twice a week, or make it part of your daily checklist if you have one for kids, to just go back into their assignments and look for those comments that you may have left them, especially if they don't have those emails turned on. That's something that I had to deal with and work with personally. And reminding the students seemed to work really well, because let's be honest, they love, you know, the feedback from you and those personal comments. It's cool. They want to see them. They just need to be reminded sometimes if they don't have that email feature turned on. So that was a strategy that worked for me.
All right, everyone. I think we're going to hang out for another minute or two here, and then we will end our broadcast for today. So if you have any other of those lingering questions, please feel free to pop them in. But if not, like Chris said before, we hope to see everybody again tomorrow and into next week.